And we are live.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of
We are
Viva
live.
Cafe con Leche. I am Dr. Lori Monaco with Align Yourself Inc. I almost screwed up the name of my company. And I am a life coach specializing in transformation and mindfulness practice. I am a speaker. I am a chiropractic physician. I am known as the weight loss doc with my special chirothin and coaching package that I offer. And I am known as the Badass Buddha. And I am coming to you from Southern Connecticut. Good morning.
Good morning. Buenos días, mi gente. This is La Margarita, spiritual and creative healing life coach. So come on, hit me up. Let's discover that beautiful you inside of all the other many yous that we created along the way. I am your writer in residence, right? I am an artist. I am a wedding officiant. So if you're feeling like you're falling in love, come and see me. Let's make it beautiful. I am your gladiator guru this beautiful morning. Good morning, mi gente. Buenos dias. Namaste.
Good morning, Gladiator Guru. How's the weather over by you this morning?
You know, it's beautiful. It's one of those mornings where you just miss the rain, so you wake up and everything's moist and smelling like earth.
I do like that smell. Some people might not like that smell, but I know which smell you're talking about, and I like that smell myself.
Yeah, so
Rained last night over by you?
excuse me.
It rained last night?
It has been raining, but it must have rained like in the early hours because yeah, it's moist. Like everything is like that moistness. There's not a lot of wetness, it's just moistness. It's beautiful.
Dewy. It's dewy. I want to say good morning to Tiffany Bryan bright and early because she missed Tuesday and she was pretty upset about it. So good morning. And she says, good morning, ladies. So glad I could join you today. So yay, Tiffany, we're glad to have you this morning for such a great conversation. Anybody on your end yet?
I'm still trying. I don't understand what is
Again
the
with that.
problem.
Yeah, I don't know either. I cannot share mine on my social media, but it's totally fine. I'll just catch it up later. Arika, is that how you pronounce it? Arisa? Bolachala.
Oh, Erica Balahala.
Erica.
You just chopped up her name. Good morning, Erica. Good morning, Chanel.
Erica, good morning. Good morning. I did. And Chanel is on. Good morning. Good morning, Chanel. And she says good morning. And Michelle is on. This is wonderful. Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Share this page so
That's
that
right.
other people can watch today. You know, this is such an important topic. I think
Yes, it is.
and
It
then
is.
I believe that there's so many people who believe they were never in a domestic violence situation. And you know, and I'm one of those people because it was never violent. But you know, we all were in a relationship when I was with my ex who was a narcissist for 7 years. You know, I'm going through all of this and I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. You know, we
I mean, I'm
all
not laughing because it's funny. I'm just laughing at the irony. I'm laughing that when you really pick it apart and you look at, because Margie's going to share some really great information before we get our guests on, and as you were discovering it and you were reading it to me, it's almost like I mean a high percentage of people have been in some sort of abusive relationship at some level, not necessarily physical abuse, but some sort of mental or emotional abusive relationship. So I want you to get going with that. So should we go ahead and set our intention and the mantra first, and then you can go ahead and get started so then we can get our guests on? Does that sound okay to you?
yes, of course.
Okay. So, I do the intention today, right? Okay. So the intention for today is you can sit quietly if you can and take in our intention and mantra for today. So the intention today, or intention we're going to set for today is, I am stronger than I believe, braver than I know, and deserving of a beautiful and peaceful life. I am stronger than I believe, braver than I know, and deserving of a beautiful and peaceful life.
Beautiful.
And what do you have for us, Guru?
My mantra is, and now I'll do what's best for me. And now I'll do what's best for me.
That is so powerful and simple, especially for today. One more time.
And now I'll do what's best for me.
Feel it like resonate within you.
I'm trying to feel it as I am talking about getting my watch party started.
On the regular page, I'm seeing everybody. Valentine is on, and I'm getting all these people that I never see because you always take them on your page. So,
oh my goodness.
actually, we were talking about this during our meeting. So, listen, tribe, we need you to, be active on the Viva page. Don't just wait for the share page too, it's fabulous that Gladiator Guru is sharing, and for some odd reason, I never could get sharing, and even if I did, half my people don't even come on. So, but it's important for you to engage with the Viva page as well, and engage with the YouTube page, because we really want to build that one up. That one will have a much greater reach. So if you want to share videos that we've done, go to the YouTube page and share it, because you could share those with anybody. They do not have to have a Facebook account to watch those. They just have to be able to click the YouTube video. So definitely, support us, subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yes.
And definitely let people know we're out there, because we, like we've been saying, we have these great ideas for conversations, and we have this huge list that's actually going all the way into the beginning of January. And we want to share these topics with you and have the conversations. And even if we repeat some of them, because there's always a conversation that can be had, even if it's repetitory. So we need your support, though. We need you to let everybody else know how fabulous we are and how fabulous this channel is, and how fabulous you are all for being a part of the tribe. You good there now? Did you get it going?
Not at all. And this, I really get upset. I'm sorry, mi gente. It may seem trivial to some, but I get really upset when I can't
I get it.
do my watch party, because
it's funny, because normally you were able to just hit one spot and then it would pop up and say, do you want to share? And
got it. I got it.
So what was happening?
It's the whatever I started just popped up now.
Okay, we're in business now. All right. So Gladiator Guru, go ahead and share with the tribe what you found, what you were looking up last night.
Well, just looking up some I wanted to get some statistics, and people always say, oh, statistics, the numbers don't lie, the numbers don't lie. And yes, they do. I discovered that a long time ago, even with my weight, like, because I was a certain weight. And then Lori and I, the Badass Buddha, and I were talking about it when we were going over our Chiral program that she has and shares with people, and it's magnificent. So hit her up for that, the Chiral. We were talking about numbers and at a certain weight, what size you are. And she was like, I can't see that. Like I'm at that weight, I'm not this size. And, everybody's cut different. But if you go by statistics and if you go by numbers, and that's why, okay, that's solid. It's not, it's confusing and it's wrong. And so I read this article from the New England Journal of Medicine, and there the piece was called "The Pandemic Within a Pandemic," and that caught my eye. So I read it, and it's very long. It's a good read, mi gente. So I'll try and put up the link, because it is a good read, very informative. But it was saying they called domestic violence victim intimate partner violence. So they were talking about when the stay-at-home orders began, it was intended to protect the public, right? The stay-at-home order was put into place to protect us, to keep us home, and so, you know, to prevent illness. But it left many of the domestic violence victims trapped in their homes with their abusers. So the hotline, they prepared for an increase in calls because of what was happening. So many people, in reading this article, I at one point, because I didn't read much about it, believed that they just forgot about, you know, the victims. But they didn't. They prepared to be ready to take all these calls that were about to come in because of the stay-at-home order. But many organizations reported that it was a 50% drop in calls. So if you're listening to those numbers and that statistic, you're like, wow, so the domestic violence went down. Maybe people are more caring and kind because of the fear of everything that's going on in the world, not even our nation, but this was like worldwide, right? So you would think that that's what happened, but it wasn't. What happened is because these victims were home with their abusers, they had less access to reach out and call for help.
And that's very scary. It's a very,
which is very sad because they say that 1 in 4 women are abused daily, 1 in 10 men are abused, and 3 women are murdered every single day by their abuser. I didn't even want to get into the children's stuff because that's very heavy, and that would have to be a whole show with tissue and all of that.
Right. And we don't want to, you know, granted we do, you know, I guess it's understandable. We've said this numerous times that this show seems to be a little bit more women favored, you know, and we, again, it makes sense, you know, that because we're women, but you know, we never ever want to undermine the fact that men do get abused as well. It's just that statistically speaking, that women tend to be, the abuse factor is usually more male against female. But we don't want to take, you know, we want everybody in that conversation. We want to, it's all inclusive for the domestic violence conversation, that everyone who is being abused, or if you know somebody who's being abused, that you are part of this conversation so that you can offer help, insight, you know, whatever. We talked about that on Tuesday about how you can help, and sometimes you have to be very careful about how you help. But again, it's not just, we don't want it to just be specific towards women. And even if the conversation is more she, her today, please keep in the back of your mind that men do get abused, and abuse on any side. You know, whether you're talking men, women, whether you're talking of somebody who is transgender, I mean, that is not even identifying necessarily as male or female. Any abuse, adult or child, how about that? Just adult or child is not okay. So that's what the conversation will favor. So, okay, great. So what is that? So is that, there was something else too, right? That you wanted to share. Wasn't there something else with regards to that? With that information, I thought there was something about the shelter. Oh, the shelters. You were talking about how the shelters were all ready, and weren't even filling. They weren't.
No, they weren't, because they couldn't get away. They couldn't. And we spoke last time, the 5 steps. So let me just go over there real quick before we bring our guest on.
That's great.
The 5 ways to help someone who's being abused by an intimate partner. 1 is do not judge. And the badass Buddha said the other day how she would respond like, why are you still here? Then why aren't you leaving? And I think at one point in our lives, we were all guilty of saying those words to somebody who confided in us that their boyfriend or husband, significant other, was being physically abusive. So do not judge them, because victimization has many shades, many backgrounds, whether you have a PhD in bullshit to just being a PhD and hustling out in the street, right? So, I mean, people like to tend to think that because we're Latinos or Blacks and we're below the poverty line, that we are more susceptible to domestic violence. And I say, no, we don't really call for help as much. They really don't show up as much, right? And it's always like, what's going to happen? We have nowhere to go. Our kids, we can't fight in court for our kids because it's like folds and folds and folds of reason. So do not judge
actually,
them.
let me just jump in one really quickly, because if you're looking at a stereotype like a ethnic background or racial stereotype, I could say it on the other end too, is that it's often viewed too that people of color tend to be very much more strong-willed. So the women, it's thought that they don't take as much crap, whereas so on the white side of it, I'm saying that white women tend to take more crap, so that they're more susceptible to abuse. So see, it can go either direction. So when you're saying that it's because below a certain poverty level that it's more prevalent, and that there's an understanding of that. On my end, there's more of an understanding that there's more abuse on in the the blue collar, white collar side in that element. So in other words, it doesn't matter. You had mentioned this on Tuesday. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic level. It doesn't matter, what your education level is. Just because somebody doesn't have an education does not qualify them to be an abuser. I have seen hellacious or heard hellacious stories of people with attorneys, PhDs, like you said, that are manipulating and abusing not just their partner, but their children, everybody in the household. So it's just, you know what it is with money? They hide it better. Don't you think?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
I don't agree. I'm saying a lot of white people assume that we are the largest population being abused. But I read, when I was reading this article yesterday, I also came into other ones where they did portray indigenous, blue collar, poverty line, Latinos and Blacks as being, it's more common that we would be in domestic violence situation. That was the article I read. I actually screenshot it, but I can't get it right now. And we can put that up. And it just makes me laugh because it's like, it's easy for them to say, oh, it's just them. So 2, ask them what kind of help they would like for you to provide. 3, know your limits. Like me, I when it comes to something like that, I've learned along the way to do what the badass Buddha said yesterday. Don't say, but just leave and whatever. I was that kicked the door down because I knew on the other side a sister, a cousin, or a friend was getting beat up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But now it's like, what can I do to help her never to return to a situation like that? So that's what you know your limits. So you educate yourself so that you can assist in elevating them. 4, offer to provide practical support that will promote their safety. 5, tell them they deserve to be treated with dignity, respect, and love. And I think for people like that who are so confused and brainwashed and just beaten down so bad they don't believe that they deserve any of that, the best gift you can give them is a compass. Give them a compass, because then they would know what direction they have to go, and then they'll build their moral compass off of that, because that's what we all need to keep. So yeah, that was that. Those are the 5 things, and the 1st and the 5th are always my favorite. Do not judge them, and remind them of who they are with dignity, respect, and love.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you for reminding everybody that we needed to hear that again.
And also, I also typed, Lori, in the crises text line, which you would text HOME in capital letters, HOME. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, all you got to text in caps is love is at 22522. So HOME at 741-741. We can type that in and the thing.
And then,
yeah,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
And one last thing before we let everybody in, I just wanted to mention, so on Tuesday's show, Michelle actually put in the comments that on Zoom calls, they've created a hand signal for those that are doing Zoom calls to let the people that are on the call know that they're in a bad situation. So I got goosebumps just thinking that.
Yeah, that's genius.
Yes, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. Okay, so good morning, Dolly. Good morning, Eileen. Glad you guys, everybody's on. And do you want to say just some morning shout outs before I start bringing everybody on?
Yes, good morning to Jolly Vet and to Alicia from Shine Bright Jewels and Jolly Vet. I hope you're still on because Jolly Vet created this Tumblr for me from quotes from my book. Good morning, Lillian.
Good morning, beautiful, exceptional people.
Good morning, Lillian.
Wait, I think your volume's up, Lillian. Okay.
All right, and Sathya just logged off, and so she was waiting patiently, but we kept talking. So I just sent her a text, so she's going to log back on. And so while we're waiting for Sathya to come on, why don't we have Lillian start her story, and then we'll get Sathya on.
So who are you? What do you do? What do you specialize in?
And then share your story of trauma and triumph.
I am Lillian Maldonado, owner of Maldonado Consulting Services and Exceptional Me Jewelry, and both of them came from being of service. My story started when I was 14 years old. I was a teenage pregnancy mom. And at the time, our parents taught us tough love. So my dad says, "You're pregnant, see you later, go live with the man who is now considered your husband." And I went to live with this man who, as a teenager, I thought I was so in love with him. It took exactly 2 weeks for the first sign to pop up. I laughed because his sneakers were smelly, and he gave me the look of death. After that, it probably took 4 weeks before I started to get beat. The beatings weren't as bad while I was pregnant, but after the baby was born, they came much stronger, much more frequently. I was still in high school. I never skipped a beat going to school. I'd go to school with knots and bumps in my head, bruised eyes, makeup hid it well. Never told any of my friends that I went to school with that I was getting beaten. The reason that I got out of it was that one day he beat me so bad, and we lived in an apartment building that had different apartments. He actually threw me out into the hallway and locked the door so I couldn't get into the house. And I was sitting at the top of the stairs just sobbing. And the people downstairs ended up calling my dad and saying, "Your daughter is getting beaten really, really bad all the time." So my dad called and said, "Are you okay? Do you want to come home?" As soon as he said, "Do you want to come home?" my bags were packed and I was at his doorstep the next day. And that was just the first one. Like you say, it comes in all shapes and sizes. I ended up getting married when I was 23, and I met my husband at church. And I thought he's going to be a wonderful husband because he's in church. And the first time he beat me was with a pull-out radio, the pull-out radios that they had back in the day.
The 8-track?
Oh, no, it's just the ones that you pulled out of the car.
Yeah.
So we were coming home. He was kind of intoxicated. I parked the car and I was telling him, "Oh, stop talking. You're just intoxicated." When I felt something hit my back and I turned around, and it was him beating me with the radio. So one of the things that I tell women, and that was just a succession of the things that happened. They do not make they molded the woman that I am today because I'm extremely strong. From that, Maldonado Consulting Services was born because 90% of my clients are Latino women. And I see how they are subdued, afraid of their husbands, afraid to discuss anything with them. And I was like, are you kidding me? So Maldonado Consulting is of service to a lot of people. I try to give them information that they can use. From there, Exceptional Me Jewelry was born because one of the things that you said in your first episode was that the feeling of unworthiness, the bruises and the bumps, they heal and they go away. But the way that you feel afterwards, the way they manipulate you and make you feel like no one's going to love you, the feelings of unworthiness, that I feel is the worst part of it all. So I created my jewelry line called Exceptional Me Jewelry so that every woman would know that she is exceptional, that she is loved. And that is where that came from. Um, from there, I also had, I took a life coaching class where I wanted to open up a center called the Sunshine Center because I wanted to be a shelter for women. So that's all a process. And Ajusta Tu Corona, which is a women's conference that I hold yearly. Margie's a co-organizer on it, and Francia Rodriguez is a co-organizer on it. That is also to help and empower women. So all of those positives came from my two negatives. And now, this is my coffee mug this morning. I am
love
all those things.
I love that.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And we have our other wonderful guest, our beautiful guest, Sathya. You know what? I haven't even checked in with you. Am I even pronouncing your first name correctly? Because we've been playing email tags for like a couple of months now. Right? Is it pronounced Sathya?
Yes, it's Sathya. Yes.
All right.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning. Sorry to make you wait so long. Usually we have guests come on about 8:15, 8:20. We started a few minutes late and then we just got to saying our spiel. So we're glad you're here now. So she was on so good. Both of them were on so early and then we took forever to get to them. So anyway,
Sorry.
and share your story with us. Tell us about your story and your triumph and what you're doing now and what, and who you are. Like,
So good morning and thank you for having me. I survived and overcame a 9-year domestic violence relationship. It's been since 2011 since I've gotten out of that relationship. And through it all, I've experienced, a lot. Every form of domestic violence that there is, I experienced it, to include spiritual. I got out of the relationship in 2011 with the help of a friend who eventually became my spouse. And we're not together anymore as my ex-husband, but he was there to help me and the children get out of that situation. Well, fast forward, I went through some trials and tribulations in between. Even with him, we became homeless, and I went through that, and he left, me and the kids homeless in the Motel 6. And that was in 2017. I was able to bounce back. I got my own place. I got a car. I partnered with Walmart with my gift boutique. And through it all, I can honestly say that God kept me, because if it wasn't for God, I really don't think I would be here. Out of all of that, I started my nonprofit organization in 2016 called Scars of Survival. And our mission is to help women and men to heal, survive, and overcome domestic violence. At the same time, I was given the vision for Scars of Survival magazine, but I wasn't in a place to launch the magazine. And it took to now, although we're going through a pandemic, to launch the magazine. The mission of the magazine is to be a platform for men, women, and children to share their story, helping others to heal, survive, and overcome. Because I found out through domestic, going through domestic violence and even talking to other individuals that there's healing in writing. And so I wanted that to be another way for them to get it out, because some people are they're not comfortable speaking verbally about their story, but they rather write it. And so I wanted to give them that platform. So the first issue was launched in June, and now we're working on the fourth issue. We should be in Barnes and Nobles and Books A Million soon. And that was a blessing to me because when I first was given the opportunity, I was told that it would be regional, and I learned that it's national. So it's not just going to be on the Southeast region, but select bookstores all around. So that was definitely a blessing for me. But through all my trials and tribulations, I honestly say that I try to put God first in all that I do. And I know that there's a reason for everything. And I use that and I keep pushing. I try to empower and inspire other women to walk in their God-given purpose as well. And I know if I can overcome, then I know anybody can overcome. So
Absolutely. So in your magazine, do you get other women? How do you search for other women to write in your magazine?
So
like
what I do,
other survivors, right? We're talking about survivors,
yeah,
right? Okay.
yes. So I right now I'm using Facebook. So Facebook
Okay.
has been a platform. I'll join like domestic violence groups. Even my friends on my Facebook page, like people share it, and then you won't believe how many people have gone through domestic violence. It's unreal.
Mhm.
But I'll go into groups and I'll share it on social media.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's good. Yeah. Yep.
What do
And
you
that's
both, what do you both feel, so to Sathya and Lillian, like, because you have a reach, like Gladiator Guru and I have a reach, but the reach is very specific. In other words, um, you know, unless somebody has a Facebook page or
Mhm.
access to the internet and YouTube, they can't see this. So Lillian, you have your own business. People come, women will come see you, even men. Again, we're not going to
Mhm.
separate the two. Domestic violence is domestic violence. How do we reach? So how would both of you can think about reaching those individuals who, can't get that information? Because how it is with domestic violence is the abuser always keeps the person separate from their loved ones, their friends, information. They're always, you just go to the store and back, they keep them on lockdown. So do you have suggestions to get your information, like to get your magazine out to these individuals, for Lillian to offer your services to these individuals? Like, how would you get that information out there? I don't know who wants to start first.
I if it's okay, I can go. For me, I've looked into doing like a mailer, I guess they call it, where how we get the flyers in the mail, the little postcards, the advertisement, and sometimes we look at it and we throw it away, or sometimes we keep it. We
yes.
all have gotten it. Well, I had thought about doing something like that. I also have been connecting with different doctors, because
Nice.
for so it can be placed in the waiting area. So those are the two things that one of them I've actually been doing, and the other one I've been thinking about doing. But
Okay.
it's cost effective. You have to
Yes.
spend money for that. So
Absolutely.
Absolutely. She's
How about you,
right.
Lillian? What do you think?
Well, I don't have a lot. My business grew by word of mouth. So usually my clients will tell other people, and it's just a chain reaction. But right now with social media, you have to pay for an ad for
mhm.
people. Every time you refresh your Facebook screen, the first one is a friend, the second one is an ad. So you really have to invest in promoting your business through social media. That's the only way that you would get the biggest reach nowadays.
Hmm. And we've discovered that through Ajusta tu Corona, which is an empowerment. This year it's an empower movement because we're doing the virtual love thing. But normally we have it in a place. It's an empowerment brunch that we have for women, and we talk about the safety of domestic violence and how to overgrow that. So, and even with Viva, you do. It's always you have to pay to get something, and so I think even the flyer thing. I think there's some places because that's a great idea with the flyer stuff. You know, because you don't need to reach every single person that owns a mailbox. You need to reach the person who needs to be reached.
Yes.
And that's how it normally happens, you know? So you got 1 out of 10 people is going to keep your flyer. So, it's about finding a place that you can buy bulk for a small amount of money. And there's several places that do that. So I'm hoping that you can reach out as Lillian when she starts her Sunflower Sunshine. Which one is it, Lillian?
The Sunflower Center.
The Sunflower Center for abused women. And I grew up, and I think it's very important, ladies, that we keep fighting the fight.
Yes.
I grew up with
Absolutely.
an Italian mother and a Puerto Rican father in Father Panic Village. My mother is Lily White, blonde hair. My father was a beautifully handsome Indian, dark-skinned Puerto Rican with jet black hair. But we were traumatized. We saw him split her forehead open. We would see him. Ooh. I don't even know if you remember growing up, or unless I was the only one. Remember those liquor bottles that were like flat? They were like this wide and they were like this thick and it would fit in the back pockets, La Palo Viejo.
Yeah.
Well, there were many times when my mom was sitting and all of a sudden he was either on acid or something. We're talking about the 70s. And he would come and just hit her right in the middle of her head. And just, it was awful. And the effects that it's still dealing with today is that finally they told me she doesn't have schizophrenia. What she has is a certain form of dementia that is provoked through trauma, physical trauma, and all the other abuse she received. And there's like a certain fluid that leaks through your brain that causes the dementia that gives you hallucinations of that past trauma. So that's what my mother deals with. That's why Lillian, her fear is so bad. Every time I go to lift her now, she's fearful. And my mother was always a strong woman. So, I mean, she shot my father in the balls when she caught a woman on his lap. I'm talking about back in the day. So it was like it was a war between both of them. So I'm saying that's something that we have to do. Lillian, with her center, you with your magazine, I wish you much, much success because through what you're doing, you're going to be saving lives. You're going to be giving children the opportunity to grow without fear and to become the best that they can be, instead of the children dealing years later with the after effect of having to care for their parents because of the abuse they received back then.
It's and like that's that. Actually, and that's actually, you brought up a really good point, Guru, with the children. So with both of you, what do you think what was it about you both that allowed somebody to put their hands on you? Like when you think about when you were growing up, was it, because they always say like usually the people who are abused had some sort of history of it, like they were abused as children or they were in a family that was abused and they saw it. So like, Guru, you weren't abused, but you saw the abuse happening, and sometimes that they believe that they deserve it. But what when you went into those relationships, did you feel like you were strong when you went into those relationships and they knocked you down, or there was still a piece of you that was not quite there and they found it and they worked it? What do you think?
That's for you ladies, yeah.
With me, I was too young to know any better.
Yeah.
I was the trying to be grown teenager. I was only 14. And back in the day, the beating, getting a beating every now and then was normal, and that's how we kept our children disciplined. So it wasn't something that I considered abuse by my parents. I did something wrong. I got whacked.
We got the chancleta.
Yeah, we got the chancleta or the belt.
or the tree branch.
Oh yeah.
Correct. So no, when I went into my second relationship where I was getting beat and I came out of that, I realized that I had no self-esteem. So I needed to learn to love myself and think about myself. And then after the birth of my third child, I was actually by myself for 10 years. And in those 10 years is where I learned to completely love myself. And I started developing all these businesses and came out from victim to victorious.
Amen. Amen.
Hmm.
That's what you gotta
Sathya.
do.
For me, I witnessed it from the age of 8. My mom, when she got married to my sister's dad, she went through abuse very often. I mean, every time he would drink, he would fight my mom. So from age 8 until about age 14, 15 is how long I witnessed it. And so I think for me, it kind of, my dad had moved on, he had another family, so he wasn't there to, kind of show me, okay, this is how a man's supposed to treat a woman. So this is what I learned to see, and so I think for me, it kind of became something like the norm, something that was supposed to be. And so when I met this guy, I was 16, he was 28. I didn't have a father figure, so he became more like a father figure to me.
Hmm.
And in the midst of all of it, he was abusive, and so I didn't have no self-esteem either. He made sure to knock that completely down. And so he became the person that, I thought had my best interest and my kids' best interest. Not my parents, not my family, friends. He always had made me to believe that I didn't have no friends and nobody was true. And so I began believing that. And so he just had me wrapped around, his hand. But I would say I didn't have no self-esteem at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
I didn't have no self-esteem.
It's almost like abusers have this ability within them to find that. It's like they can seek out people that are even in your best, like when you're out there and you seem like you have it together and you seem okay and you think that way. These individuals find it. It's like they can see right through you and they see that it's not quite there, or sometimes it is obvious on the outside, but they latch on to you, and then they charm you in the beginning, and they feed into what you are lacking, and they get you, and then from there they start that manipulation. And that's why it's important for what everybody's doing today, with what we're doing on the show, Sathya, your magazine, and what you're doing, and Lillian, your organization, and the location that you're going to have. It's to get people to understand that, listen, we got your back. Like it's easier for us to see it on the outside, right? The reason they don't want you to be around other people, they isolate you, is because you know that the moment you talk to somebody else, they're going to be like, girl, you need to get out of there. Like, that's not okay. That's not normal. This is normal. That's not normal. And they don't want you to know that. They don't want anyone to tell you that, because it'll ruin their little world, and you'll be out.
Hmm.
And so it's our job to tell them that.
Well, I think as a collective, the women are the most powerful beings in the universe. And I think there are some sisters that, because of the environment they were raised in, they don't have that secure in self-love, right? Um, they romanticize what love is. So then we meet an asshole who gives us that attention we crave. And then we love them. We fall in love with them. It's like innocently, we fall in love with them for the things they do and how they cater to us, not knowing that they're malicious in the back. That's why I don't blame no woman who has ever been in a domestic violence situation, unless she tells me, I feel that he loves me when he hits me, because believe me, I met somebody like that. So I think that as a collective of women, we need to just remind them how beautiful they are inside and how powerful they are and how they can overcome anything. And sometimes women in situations don't need us to be Captain Save-A-Hold for them. They just need to be reminded, like that light switch turned on. They need to be reminded of who the fuck they are. And when that happens, then they rise. They rise from the ashes like they're supposed to. And I think that's the support we need to give one another. I think your magazine would be great. When Lillian opens her center, it's going to be phenomenal, because there's so many women that live in secret of being abused because they don't know who to turn to and where to go. And not everybody who was raised watching their parents suffer domestic violence consider them, or think that that's a norm. Not everybody does that. And if when you fall victim, it's so different from what you witnessed, you don't realize it until it's late. Am I right, ladies?
That's true.
Yeah.
So, some of us who saw that are raised, or what we take from that is, I wish a motherfucker would. So it's like it's this and that, and that's why no matter what's our background, no matter what's our skin color, we need to converse with one another. Whenever we meet a group of women, converse, because you don't know whose life you're saving or who's going to save your life.
That's correct, right?
True.
Lillian, and to the both of you, Lillian and Sathya, your stories, how did that play out with how the conversations and the path that you've helped forge for your children? How has your story, what you've gone through, helped you bring information to your children so that they never have to go through that again? Like, what did you?
Great question.
Well, for me, my kids actually went through it with me. Mine is my youngest one. So they witnessed it or they've experienced it from him. So, and it traumatizes the kids as well. They go through their own thing, even if they didn't go through it, just seeing it, two of my daughter experienced it, in her own personal, life. My two boys, not that I know of, have ever, been abusive. But my oldest son, I think, my oldest son has gone through some of it too. So for me, they already know, what domestic violence is, because they've experienced it. They saw me go through it, and then they went through it themselves. But I'm constantly, either I'm talking to them or they hear me talking about it, so they know, but it's just they make their own decisions, because they're adults now, so it's either, okay, I know this is abuse. I saw mommy go through it. I went through it. This is not okay. So let me leave. Or it's, although I saw it, I'm gonna have to experience it. This is my life, that kind of thing. But my kids know. They know what domestic violence is. They know what it is. So,
For me, my oldest, when they pulled out the radio to slap me on the back of my neck with it, my child was with me. So as I'm walking and I'm getting beaten by the radio, he jumped on his back. He was 10 years old at the time, screaming, "Leave my mommy alone." He knows what it is to this day. As far as I know, and I believe, he has never laid a hand on a woman. So he knows. My other two kids, by the time they came along, I was already pretty strong minded. And I stressed to them, do not let anyone put a hand on you. And one of your shows, you had a woman that said, if you need help, knock on my door. And that stuck with me. And my children, I said something similar. Do not feel that you never have anywhere to go. This is your home. I love you, and I will accept you no matter what if you need me.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was Nan. She said her neighbor had told her, "You're knock on my door," and it saved her life. And as women, that's what I'm saying. We need to be there. That's beautiful, ladies. What would you tell somebody who's watching today and is actually stuck in that scenario? What words of comfort and encouragement can you each give?
I would say, for one, you're not alone. Um, there's people out there who understand, what you're experiencing. Um, get a safety plan, and if you're in that situation, utilize a safety plan so you can leave the situation safe. And then reach out to somebody you trust, whether it's an organization, a family, a friend. Reach out to somebody you can trust so that they can help you to survive and to overcome. It's very much possible. There is life after domestic violence, and I'm a living witness to it. Uh, um, don't ever, don't ever think you can't, because you can. You can. There is life after domestic violence.
And it,
Absolutely.
and it would probably be so much more marvelous after domestic violence. You can only go up from there. Believe
Yes.
in yourself. And as she said, reach out to a friend, reach out to someone, write a little note, pass it to someone. Whatever you need to do, just speak, let someone know. And as Margie said, do not judge. We're not
Mhm.
here to judge you, we're here to lift you and help you.
And then yes, absolutely. And that's the one thing I think if women know, even just with a glance, your neighbor, like Nan said, you don't need to know each other, you don't need to have spoken, but coming from a situation where you could read body language, it'll just be like a smile or a wave. And I think that domestic violence doesn't have an age thing, because a lot of us say we went through it as a teenager. And I'm saying I never was an actual victim of someone hitting me, but I still have life left in me. We never know who's going to be that one wearing the mask. Until my last breath, anything is possible, right? So we just got to keep the mind frame that it's all positivity and self growth, so that we can then help the next person along. I think it's wonderful. I think you are thrivers and survivors, and I wish you all best success with your magazine. Do you have one there so we can see the cover?
I do. I will have to hold on one second if y'all don't mind.
No, no,
Is it
it's
okay to go off the video? Okay, let me grab one.
One
I
thing I'm going
think
to say while Sathya's getting her magazine is that I know what it was, Gladiator Guru, that about the shelters is a lot of the shelters were closed or because of COVID.
because of COVID.
Places for some of these individuals that needed to escape from their abusers to go. And I know there's things have shifted a little bit and things have opened up more, but we don't know if it's going to close again. And I want you with that in mind, with the glance and finding somebody that you can trust, even if it's somebody that you don't know well enough, but has a kind heart, you just feel it. Don't make an assumption that there's nowhere for you to go. You'd be surprised how many people would just scoop you right into their house without anybody knowing and just take you on. It's a scary situation because domestic violence is very dangerous. It's very unpredictable. And bless those people that do things like that, because anybody can come into your house to try to get this person out. But do not feel, if you are the one being abused, that there's nowhere to go. Just reach out, put it out there. And I think all of us know, we know we're not supposed to announce it. Like if somebody came to us, everything's very down low. So I think we've learned that over the years, that you cannot be vocal about this too much, because it'll get out to the abuser. So,
Correct.
Absolutely.
so please don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. And with that, Sathya, go ahead. Let's see the magazine.
This is if you can see it. This is the September issue.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, it's very nice.
And then On the back of it, it has my organization's information, just in case somebody picks it up and they're needing some type of resource or help. And then I want to show one more thing in the that's very important in the magazine. Besides the stories, there's a safety plan. I don't know if you can see it.
Okay.
Fantastic. It's like a
You see the safety plan?
follow.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is fun. How do we get a copy? Where can I go get a copy in here in Florida?
So you can go to the website, which is www.scarsofsurvivalmagazine.com.
Okay, because I had written
And
the Scars of
hopefully,
Survival.
yes, scarsofsurvivalmagazine.com.
And we'll paste that
Prayfully
in the
it'll be,
comments on the site.
and prayfully it'll be in one of the stores in your area. If it is in one of the stores in your area, then you can go to Barnes and Nobles or Books A Million and purchase it as well. I just don't know which locations yet because they're still distributing out to those different stores. So once they finish, then I'll get the list and I can share which locations will carry the magazine.
Perfect. That's perfect. And I wanted to add, piggybacking on Lori, and then I'm going to order the magazine. Lillian, are you going to get the magazine?
Of
I think
course.
that'll be good to see. I mean, it's quite educational. That as a life coach, because this is very near and dear to me, especially discovering my mom's misdiagnoses and what I'm dealing with now with her. That as a life coach, if you are a domestic violence victim and you need an outlet, call me. I won't charge you my life coaching thing. Just call me so that we can navigate the waters of where you are and where we can find you help at. If you can't do it on your own, call me, let me know what your situation is, and I'll do the groundwork for you. And then you have to take the first step to actually get away from where you're at. But if you need someone to speak to regarding all that, by all means, please call me. Text me, email me. My information's all over the place. Look me up on Google. I have my life coaching, Google my business, and my phone number's on it and all of that. So that's for everyone out there, whoever needs anything, just reach out to someone that you feel it's okay for you to speak to. Look at us four on this page right now. For those viewing us, look at us four women. I mean, you know, everything we went through, we're still standing tall. We're standing, we're warrior goddesses. And so if you need to reach out to anybody out there, anybody sharing this video, reach out, because that's what we're here for.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming on, and we're going to post it's Scars of Survival magazine. I just put it in the comments section, but I'm also going to put it in the actual description of the video when we post it, fill in everything. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on. You know, Lillian, thank you so much for creating an empowerment summit, really.
Yes, yes.
To help women rise up. And taking what your knowledge and showing like that you're a kick-ass entrepreneur businesswoman, you know. I mean, this is you've taken, quote, a statistic of teenage moms don't go anywhere, don't do anything, they just become a part of the system for their entire lives. And you've proven that, you know, not only did you were a teenage mom, but you were also an abused individual, and you've risen past that. So thank you so much for being you and sharing that with everybody. And Sathya, thank you for being brave enough to put a magazine out like this, because there could be repercussions for stuff like this from abusers when you're putting in people's faces, listen, I'm empowering that person that's being abused. And, you know, they want to blame everybody and everyone who gave the information out. And you're brave enough to do that. And I really encourage everyone to check out the magazine. This is not specifically just for people who are being abused. If you care about people out there, you'll read the magazine to help you empower yourself to help these individuals.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Right.
This morning, I'm very proud to be in both of your presence.
I am.
It just shows, you know, it just that we persevere and we stretch ourselves through the pain, and that's how we get to where we're at, where we can, you know, put a hand out and help lift others up, and with our experiences and with our desires to move forward. Because sometimes people probably won't seek you out for help, but they're listening to your story, they're watching your movement, and that's all it takes as well. You know, so I'm very honored to be in both of your presence. And before we leave, can I just do some shout outs, because we have many people on this morning because of our thing. Cassandra Acre, my sister-in-law in Georgia, Eileen King, Luis Molina from Spain, Ismar Rivera from here, from Bridgeport and Tampa, my brother-in-law Frank Pinero, Maria Garcia, like my sis, hello, and Jonathan Pookie, who said good morning, ladies. My sister Janet and Gail Serrano, I thank you all.
And I have some too.
Watching.
I have some too. Angel Santos, Amanda Ornitz, Israel Navarro. If I'm repeating some that Margie already said, I apologize. Vicky Rodriguez. A lot of people have been very vocal. So Marina Rivera, and a lot of people have been very vocal. So get a chance to go back and look at some of the comments. And yeah, thank you so much, ladies, for coming on. And Tuesday, we're going to start our conversation on in honor of Breast Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we're going to be, it's titled Breast Awareness. And yes, we know we have breasts and we are aware of them, but we don't know how aware of them we are. So we're not take a serious subject, and we're going to really have a serious conversation, but also a fun conversation to get to know ourselves and our breasts and the importance of breast health. So we have part 1 conversation on Tuesday and part 2 conversation on Thursday. So we hope that you will join us for next week and share this week's conversation on domestic violence. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it, as would our beautiful guests today, because their stories are really important. They are 2 of many, many stories out there. So we thank all of you for coming on. And last minute thing you got to say, Gladiator Guru, before we do our closing? Or
yes, I ask all of you out there in the world listening and us present to share this video. Share it as many times as you need. Share part 1 and 2 together if you can. You know, share the videos on YouTube, and let's spread the word out, because someone needs to hear the empowerment that you ladies spoke about. Yes. Someone needs to hear that there is a bright light at the end of their tunnel. You know, so everyone out there, let's just share this for the men and women that are being abused today. Let's be their voice.
Absolutely.
So yep, so that's it. And I thank you, women. Thank
you, ladies, for coming on. We're so
yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us. Bye. Yes. Continue to be exceptional.
Thank you. You do as well.
So everybody have a good, beautiful.
Have a good day, ladies.
Yes,
you do the same.
Yeah, and everybody have a beautiful weekend. And remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
Yes.
Enjoy your weekend, and remember, breathe in the beauty and breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.
Bye, everybody.
Right, bye.